For those who already know you, but for those who don't already know you, could you give a little bit of your background?
No.
Hi guys, welcome to the Just That podcast, where we bring you stories, conversations, insights, and much more around business, culture shaping leadership from and around the city of Jos. And I'm your host. My name is Timothy Kunat, and as always, it is great to be here with you. My guest is someone I've been looking forward to having a beautiful conversation with. We got talking sometime last year in 2025, and I'm excited because she's in the city of Jos. So you've probably interacted with her content and know her as Charmaine's Post. But my guest today is Charmaine Hayden, and I'm excited to have her in the studio with me today. You're welcome, Charmaine.
Oh, thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited because speaking to you, knowing what a role you played in me actually ending up in Jos is a really important one. So I'm happy to have a conversation.
Awesome. So I like to do start at the very beginning and give a bit of background. So for those who already know you, but for those who don't already know you, could you give a little bit of your background?
No. I've been very, very intentional about not doing podcast interviews and interviews on TV and radio. However, I want to have a conversation with you. I just don't want to, the stuff that I'm doing right now, I don't want to make myself a martyr. I don't want to make the mission about me. So what I prefer to do, if you don't mind, is to have a bit of a conversation about you and what you're doing here in Jos, how you're shaping the narrative and the role that you think that you play in making Jos better. Okay, so the podcaster is now the one getting interviewed. I love it. Okay, so what do you want to know? So first and foremost, talk to me about why you decided that you was going to set up a travel page to enlighten people about what's happening here in Jos and the beauty of Jos.
Everyone knows that Jos has a lot of bad PR. There's most of the time when you Google or check on the news about Jos, a lot of times you see bad news. But having lived here for a number of years, I saw a lot of things that were not gaining the traction and the visibility that they needed. The hospitality of the people, the beautiful landscape, the depth of culture. Plateau State has well over 50, 54, 56 tribes, ethnic groups, if I'm not mistaken. So there was just so much, but it pained me that the only thing that got to go viral out of here was the bad news. And while I'm not discounting the sadness of all the things that have happened, that is not the only picture of this place. And frankly, I felt like it was undermining all the hard work and all the the work that everybody was putting in here, waking up, putting their lives in their businesses, growing their families, keeping their culture alive. And I felt like somebody needs to tell this as a way to get people to see Jos from a balanced perspective and want to come here. And that's how I started.
Okay, so that's really interesting. When I came across your first work, it really stood out to me. I joined Visit Nigeria as an ambassador, wanting to look at how economic spread could take place. So rather than trying to attract new tourists, it's like, okay, what can we do with the ones that are already coming here? And I came across your page and I was like, wow, I'm mind blown by Jos. What is this place? I know nothing about it apart from the industry stuff about, I know about tin, I know about the exports, but I didn't know that there was beauty here. I didn't know that there was people here, really. It feels like
I get that a lot.
Yeah, it feels like when you hear about Jos, you hear about Plateau State, it sounds like a place where maybe if there are people that everybody's hiding in a bush from the bush, if that makes sense. It sounds like everybody is running scared. And of course, again, just like you said, not wanting to at all discount, that the fact that there is insecurity. I think it's really important to look at how you're managing to navigate that while still positioning the beauty. How are you doing that? I know that there's some tour guides, etc.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. Like, how do you encourage people to come to a place where they're uncertain about?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is it comes from a place of experience. So I live here. I live here. My family is here. I'm building a family here. So I started by documenting my own experiences here. While there are the headlines, there is also life, just like you had mentioned. And life should not be covered by the one-sided story. So I just thought, you know what? Let's start putting out what we're doing. And I started creating content, going to places. So when people see that I can go there and I tell people about this place, it began to spark curiosity. The professional perspective also comes from the fact that while there are certain areas, especially within the state, where there's like a higher risk than other places. So we started by moving and limiting experiences to the places that I knew people could easily visit. And I think that that's kind of like how I walked around, or I'm working around navigating it. I'm just like in many countries that face, or many destinations that face this similar kind of thing. You'd hear, these are the areas that are very open to tourists, but they will give you like travel advisory to say, maybe not visit these areas, or if you do, be extra careful. So I think it's kind of like playing with that kind of mentality where these are the areas that I know that are not at risk, and we explore these areas and we create stories about these areas and expand as we see the risk reduce when we begin to see things pick up and get better.
Okay, so that makes sense. I mean, most people who travel travel to places like, I don't know, Mexico, Cancun, or even like Brazil, Colombia. Like, there are places that people travel to, and it's like, we understand that there is some risk. There's travel advisory. Even some places they don't go at all, but people still visit, right?
Yeah.
So when you do go there, you still need to know where's going to be the best places to see.
Very true.
That's really interesting. How big a role do you think that tourism could potentially play in somewhere like Jos? Because, I mean, the airport doesn't even have a lot of flights in here, right? It's very limited. Very
true. So Plateau State has a slogan, "Home of Peace and Tourism," and interestingly, if we're going to be 100% honest, from where it stands, it doesn't look like it is that slogan. I would say it's work in a lot of progress, right? You just mentioned the airport doesn't have a lot of flights. I think right now we just have like 2 airlines that come in to Jos. I hear there's a third one on the way. Now, everything in Plateau State, especially with respect to tourism, still is more on the potential side. And I don't think that enough has been done to deploy the potential to reality. Many reasons. Some are probably not. I'm probably not purview to, because I'm not in government. But it's still in potential. And there is a lot that needs to be done. And frankly, it has to be done both by the government and private actors working together. It's going to really be a collaboration between these two if we're really going to harness the tourism potential. I personally believe that tourism on the plateau can be the biggest driver of economic development. I personally believe that tourism, because you see, the tourism economy, it touches across everything. We talk about the minerals here, we talk about agriculture here, we talk about the human resources here, we talk about the depth of culture. All of these are aspects that tourism covers, because somebody's coming in. There's agro-tourism, there is tourism that gives them insight into like the mineral space here, and also pulls in, takes people from tourists, because that space can then take people from being tourists to being investors, right? And other aspects. But if the infrastructure is not solid, then we'll still remain in the potential space.
If you could name like 2 things that you feel like the government could do, like in terms of infrastructure, what would they be?
Security is one. Of course, security is one, because I feel like if security is fixed, then a lot of things begin to work better. So security, and not just security within the city center, but security across the entire state. But One other infrastructure that is not very tangible that I would say is important is PR and branding, because right now there's no definitive brand around the state that is aggressive enough to take away or to drown the bad news and get people so excited, so interested, so curious about Plateau State to the point where they're coming. So I think if we security and the PR, the perspective and perception of the place, I think if those two work hand in hand, that can work massive, can work something massive here in changing the narrative and getting things to roll pretty quick.
Okay, so I probably can understand why PR wouldn't be a priority whilst the insecurity is rife, because it probably seems a little bit insensitive, from a government perspective. It's like, we haven't been able to clear this up, but just forget about all that. You can go and have a holiday there. That might not seem sensitive enough to, the families or whatever. And also to the people that are living and not feeling like they could be as safe as they are as safe as they could be. Do you feel like any of the efforts so far for government when it comes to insecurity are paying off?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I would actually have anticipated that answer. I don't know if you know, but I drew up a paper on the economics of peace across Nigeria. And one of the things that I feel like isn't very clear is how long it takes to clear these things up. If we look at case studies across the world globally, where there have been insecurity and where there's been insurgencies, especially when there is reason for insurgency to continue, or any insecurity to continue, it's quite a lengthy process. And on average, from what I've looked at, it's about 5 to 10 years. So I'd be interested to see what this conversation looks like in 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I know that there are some things being done. When I did my analysis, it looks like about 50% of the things that I would suggest have been done. But I don't live here. If you had the resources, what approach would you take? Like if you were able to just go and have one sit down meeting with the Nigerian government today, what would you be like? We just need this for Jos specifically. I understand that the security issues across Nigeria are very different.
Important dialogues need to be had across all the fault lines that can stir up insecurity, because for various people groups, they feel they have a certain perspective, opinion, and hurt. So I feel like important dialogues need to be had and consequences need to be spelled out clearly and enforced, so that there's an enforcement, there's dialogue. If we all see that the land, the state is ours to protect, we have a part to play together with government, I think that might also help. So, but importantly, important dialogues need to be had, important arrests and enforcements need to be done. And, so people just have more faith in the government. That's what I would say off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's a specific right or wrong answer to this. I feel like it's just a matter of everybody being able to have an opinion on the conversation. I'm sure the government will probably feel like they've done what is needed to some extent.
Yeah.
And some people will feel like they haven't. So that's not, I guess, for us to decide. I feel it's important sometimes for us to think through what steps that we would take if we were in those shoes and how we would approach them. But we're not. So I don't want to mull too long on insecurity, because that obviously is a running dialogue that we see everywhere anyway. But obviously it's just important to highlight that we're aware of it, that we're sympathetic to those who have been victims and their families have been victims, so that they're not feeling like they're ignored. But then when we speak about being ignored, I get the feeling like the people of Jos or the people of Plateau State are almost invisible. And the sentiment that I get around a lot of people who follow me and speak to me online is that no one sees us. All they see is insecurity. Yeah. I guess it's hard to strike up a conversation about that, Because when you're trying to do something positive, it looks like you're a paid actor, you've been bought, or you're just trying to encourage people to come to your state so you can make money or whatever it is. You know, people aren't really used to being any positive dialogue about Nigeria, period.
Yeah.
I've come to realize they're expecting you to take a side. And sometimes you just want to do what you know will benefit your state, the country, etc. So navigating that must be really challenging. Yeah. Even though you're storytelling, you're showing something that is factually true, right? Yeah. It's not even based on data or numbers that can be manipulated. It's a sight. Yeah. It is like, this is how beautiful this state is. How do you navigate knowing that you're just trying to showcase that and you get feedback of that nature?
Sometimes feedback can be very hard. Like you mentioned, there was a video I put out some weeks ago, and somebody typed, "Who paid you?"
I get that all the time.
Definitely. I see your comment section. You get that a lot, but I see that as well, and it's almost like we're so used to bad news. If there's anything that isn't in line with that, you definitely have to have been paid, and it's not true.
I feel the reason I probably struggle with that is because I actually know the cost of not telling the balanced story. Having come from a financial background and trying to sell the idea of raising a fund to deploy and invest in Africa, and seeing the response to that, and how risk was applied to those conversations, because of the narrative. Yeah. And some of those people have never ever entered Nigeria, Africa. Like they haven't even encountered enough African people. Yeah. Like, and I'm going to say African broadly, because it really melts into one pot for them. And they just see it as so risky because they hear these things. And they're like, yeah, but I met someone and they said it too. Yeah. You know, the one Nigerian I met, they said that Nigeria was bad for business, that policy was bad, the government's awful, corruption's rife. And they're talking from places like America. Government's bad, corruption's rife. Like the UK, government's bad, corruption's rife. Like these things are like, there is insecurity. There's insecurity in London. Yeah. It's not the same type of insecurity. Yeah. But it exists. It exists. But the country is able to still market and PR themselves in a way that makes people want to come. Most people are now privy to the idea that if you come to London, you could get stabbed, your watch could get taken, that people shoot each other because they're arguing because someone stood on their trainer. Like, this isn't even a financial gain conversation. This is just people arguing with one another and killing one another. Yeah. And you looking at someone the wrong way could also have you in that line of fire, or you could get hit by a stray bullet. We know that happens across America. Yeah. We know that there are religious wars. We know that there is ICE happening. You know, there's so much happening. So I think that those conversations are really crazy when we look at them in the grand scheme of things. But how do we understand the perspective that the Global South or the West, however you want to name them, have taken PR and marketing, irregardless of what's going on, because they're really running on a PR strategy now. And why isn't Nigeria able to do that? Hollywood
is America's biggest PR strategy. Every Nigerian has an idea of, most Nigerians who watch a lot of American movies, watch a lot of TV, have an idea of a statement called the American dream. What is the Nigerian dream? Is there a Nigerian dream? You know, so the PR is carefully crafted into everything that goes out and makes you at the end of the day feel like this country is the greatest country in the whole world. But for us here, I don't see us intentionally I don't see us applying that same intentionality with our own storytelling and PR. I feel like a lot of times we leave it to chance, or we leave it to external people to tell our stories for us. Because in a sense, and in some way, we also have this thing where when it's being told from outside, it feels like it's better than when we do it ourselves. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost the same way we relate with imported stuff. Outside, what is coming from outside is better, and our own stories don't have the push that we need. So you can easily go online and watch movies on different themes, even historical movies from America, and even some aspects of those history have been adjusted to make America look good. How many stories or movies like that do we have here in Nigeria telling you about critical aspects of Nigerian history? And you can say tweaking it to make us look good as well. So it's that intentionality. I'm not sure I can say what the full scale of why it is like that, but I would say this thing. I feel like, number one, we don't have that intent. We don't seem to have the same intentionality coming from not just the citizens now, but from the top down. We have a national orientation agency. We have a Ministry for Information. How do those organizations create from their offices down to the young 5-year-old, 2-year-old boy in the remotest village? How do they communicate the national values? How do they communicate patriotism? How do they communicate what it means to be a Nigerian? Does an average Nigerian know what it means to be Nigerian? Right. So if we don't have that knowledge, it cannot foster that push. So we almost always are looking for the next best place to jackpot to.
Yeah, I feel like that is definitely a running theme. And I think that a lot of this comes from trauma response.
Yeah.
Right? So, and distrust. And that's why I'm very forgiving when people are attacking me in my comments and telling me, you've been paid by this. 1 minute is I'm paid by this party. Next minute I've been paid for. It will at least make up our minds who I'm paid by, right? But I also understand it's like, how often are narratives told in Nigeria from a balanced perspective? How often? Like, I often wonder, does anybody care if the country progresses as long as their party's in power? Like, does that matter anymore? Or is it just like, I want my party to win by all means.
Yeah.
And I don't care if there's progress here or no progress here. I want this to win.
Yeah, because that's what it looks like. It feels like that to the average Nigerian. It feels like it's just a game of party and politics, right now.
Yeah, because no one seems to want to look at individual, I like to address the facts and the data of individual news elements, right? So today I'm addressing this. And it's not just Nigeria. This is something I'm seeing globally across Africa and the Caribbean. And just, I guess, the wider Black community, right, is we talk from a emotional standpoint. Like, there are facts here, right? This is the data. Here's the data. And then someone just goes off into a completely different direction. And it makes it really hard to reel people back in to the end of the conversation. My average watch time is probably about 9 seconds. And people have formed an opinion and want to
in 9 seconds.
Within 9 seconds. So when we look at that information, we do have to understand that a lot of this is people are tired, people are frustrated, people are hungry.
Yeah.
And they're like, I need someone to blame and I need someone to blame now. We're not getting the answers that we want with the clarity that we need about what's going on in our country, how long we're going to have to wait for improvement, and if there's ever going to be improvement. So that's why people want to jump out. If people were told, listen, it's this toughness is going to last, you've got 8 years. Nigerians are probably the most resilient people I've ever met in my entire life, right?
Yeah.
But can anyone really plan to be resilient forever?
Definitely not.
Right, but with a guidance of time and a time period,
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, and with clear guidance on how everyone can get involved without pushing the blame away from government or towards government. It's okay, what can we all do? And you're a perfect example of it, right? You're using something that is your civic duty to create a business, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, you're working, you're building visibility, but you're also changing the narrative of the country. You're indirectly affecting how a startup founder raises money, and no one knows it. Because if you show Nigeria as a place where human beings live, yeah, then it makes you more invested, the country more investable, the startup founders more investable. What happens is when we only talk about the fact that savage attacks are happening, we're killing each other, what happens is people feel like, do I want to go and invest in wildebeests? These people are killing each other. Why should I value them, their ideas, their life? Why should I look at them as an equal? Why should I give them a visa? Why should I recruit them for the job? Why should I look at them as the intellectual beings that they are? Nigerians excel in almost absolutely everything that we touch.
Yeah.
Like there's very few areas in life that you cannot find a Nigerian performing like at an exceptional level.
So true.
Why are we not talking about that enough? Yeah. But in showing Nigeria as a beautiful place that has beautiful people, that actually is building things, showcasing the talent that exists, you're playing an exceptional role in moving the country forward. I think we always think that civic duty has to be like taking on the roles that, you know, are maybe less desirable, but you can actually find a way to move the country forward by telling these stories. Are you cognizant that you're doing that? Are you like clear that you're doing that? Yes. Are you doing it intentionally?
Intentionally. Because I could be anywhere. Many Nigerians right now could be anywhere else. And whoever is in Nigeria right now and is intentionally putting this kind of work in understands the importance of what they're doing, or at least to some extent. And for me, this is home. And I still believe that there's a lot of hope for Nigeria. And if this is my little contribution to what can catalyze hope, can contribute to whatever is going to happen in the future for the good, I want to be part of it. So doing Discover Joss and every other thing that I'm doing is putting intentional bits and pieces here, projecting Nigeria, projecting Joss, projecting Plateau State, from a perspective where if you needed something to encourage you about Nigeria, you could find it on my page. So you would hardly find bad news on my page. I would rather not post at all. I would rather not post at all than post bad news, because there's already bad news everywhere. And if there was going to be a flicker of hope, flicker of encouragement, I want to be it. So yeah, that's the intentionality I'm putting into it.
I'm so grateful for that. I think sometimes you can feel like you're fighting an uphill battle in trying to showcase how amazing Nigeria is as a whole. Because once your eyes are open to how great it is and how amazing the people are, it's actually really hard. Like sometimes I'll sit and I listen to people debating and I'm like, but you know, Nigerians are fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And you'll hear a Nigerian saying, you know, Nigerians can't be trusted. And I'm like, such a blanket statement. Can you be trusted? Like, are you a good person? So if you want me to believe that you're a good person, you have to believe that others exist, right?
Yeah, so true. So true.
If you believe that everybody in this country is corrupt, then it reflects upon you as well. It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
When you're looking at tourism, we have so many, like I always say, I believe that that Africa is the final frontier for a reason, right? We're privy to seeing all of the mistakes that have been made everywhere else in the world. What touristic infrastructure that has damaged other countries would you wish for Nigeria to avoid?
So I would like us to have a thriving tourism economy without it becoming a sickness, without it becoming a problem, without it getting to the point where everything about our culture that we're so proud of becomes monetary. Nigerians are kind. Nigerians are hospitable. So one of the things that I've seen in many places that I don't want to happen here is when everything now becomes a tool to get money and we stop being the people that we are, hospitable. So that's the aspect of the overtourism I'm talking about, where everything becomes transactional. and to see a dance or to do this, you have to pay money. You have to do just that. I still want us to be who we are while still thriving or having a thriving tourism ecosystem.
I like that answer. And you're right. Nigerians are so hospitable. And it's definitely been a double-edged sword for a lot of the time. I do feel like I'll give an example, like Jamaica's tourism element. Jamaica did a fantastic job of PRing Jamaica as a tourist destination. It has beautiful beaches. It has amazing people. It has great food. And they were able to showcase that. But we're at a stage where local Jamaicans can't access their beaches very often, right? That they've been priced out of the market, that the hotels that people visit are big corporate chains as opposed to locals.
Yeah.
How do we avoid making those mistakes? We're now the midget standing on the giant shoulders, so we can see further than the giant, right? How do we use those data sets to be like, Nigeria can benefit from tourism. It doesn't even necessarily need more tourism because when you look at the numbers, Nigeria's tourism numbers are huge. It needs economic spread. It needs people to not only end up in Lagos.
In Lagos, yes.
And I don't even want to say in Lagos. I mean, it needs people to not just end up on the island because most people aren't going to mainland at all. And it needs people who are going to spend money other than just in the lounges, bars, clubs, and in shops that they can relate to, which are typically like Lebanese supermarkets, etc. Right? Yeah. How do Nigerians actually benefit from tourism?
There are many aspects to benefit from, but to avoid this thing you just mentioned about Jamaica, I would say that we need to have a balanced spread across Nigeria. So you mentioned the island in Lagos and how it also feels like everything is congested. And it's also to bring that comparison with Jamaica. You cannot access a free beach in Lagos except if you go really, really far into some of the villages, either in Ekpe or in Badagry.
But locals are allowed in, right?
Yeah, locals are allowed in. Right.
Locals aren't allowed into the beach in Jamaica.
In Jamaica, okay,
out.
So that's more serious than yes. Our case. But what I'm saying is, I think because Nigeria has like different regions, different states with different unique things about each of the states. Now, if every state is thriving in their own unique way, you have 36 different options: history, culture, adventure, conservation and ecotourism, tech, whatever it is. So one place isn't the only place everybody goes to, because now you have 36 different options. Now with 36 different options and us being intentional about making it not an elitist experience. Of course, there will be experiences across various levels, high, elitist experiences, but there should be experiences for the everyday person, So when we have that spread across all the states, and also intentional effort from the Ministry of Tourism to ensure that tourism is well regulated so that people are not being taken advantage of and everybody's having access. So it's not restricted to just a few people, but it's open to everyone. And now you have many options to choose from. And I think that that's one of the key things to
So do you feel like that is the Ministry of Tourism's role? Because I've actually, one of the ministries that I do actually think are doing quite a lot is they have a big role.
They have a massive role.
Even the breakdown of all of the different areas in their title is
tourism, culture, hospitality, and the creative economy. So it's massive.
So what do you think that we as individuals can do to support the work that they're doing in order to shed light on those elements and bring them forward?
So I think that we must read. And this is what I mean by reading. So I came across a document, I've forgotten the name of the document right now, but it was from that ministry talking about some of the aspects and the areas where focus is going to be going into. As an individual, I want to be able to read that document and say, okay, if the ministry is saying this and this and this and these are the areas that they want to pour focus into. How can I do something in those places, right? And it's anything. It's something as easy as having a souvenir shop, right, to handling a tech ecosystem that manages bookings, right? But I think that's where we all come in. It's interpreting the vision that they have and seeing where I and the unique skills and exposure and experience that I have and networks can play a critical part in bringing it to life, so that I'm not just waiting for them to do everything, because they can't do everything.
But you did mention something that was important. You said, I came across this document.
Yeah.
So I guess that is also something that they could do better, right? Because if you're someone who is intentionally and actively encouraging tourism in this country,
Yeah.
then making sure that you have that document, not by accident, right?
Yeah.
Should be a really important fact. It should be paramount.
I agree.
In fact. How did you come across that, and where can other people read that document?
So I actually came across it through a friend who did some work, with them.
Okay.
And so she said, "Oh, I think you should read this." So if I didn't have that friend, I don't know if I would have had or known about the document at that time when I did. But I would say that there needs to be a lot more happening in terms of circulating this information. Websites, there should even be, I don't know if there is a comprehensive database of everybody in the tourism ecosystem: tour promoters, tour guides, tour companies, travel companies, content creators pushing travel, all of that. So, because these are the people who are supposed to interact with those documents first and digest them, and then begin to pass it on to the everyday Nigerian within their sphere of influence, to see where the opportunities lie and how they can interact with that.
I'm wondering, well, obviously that Visit Nigeria has a database of most of the actors within the tourism space that it feeds through to the ministry, I believe. I wonder if accessing those documents could be something that they could assist in circulating. I'll find out.
Okay.
I feel like it's important for us to look at what the steps towards the change that we want to see could be, because sometimes it's just one conversation away.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can be quite assumptive as to how hard or easy that would be without understanding the layers, because I didn't even know these documents were circulating in that way. I would have assumed that they would have come as public announcements. That was assumptive of me, because I don't know how they released them. And it's only in you explaining that I was like, there maybe is a gap here. And I feel like information for me is something that I actually don't feel that this government do very well. There's a lot of stuff that I found in my digging. I'm like, oh, you are actually doing that and you're doing that, but why does no one know? Like, this doesn't make sense. So you have spent money here, or you have done this. Why don't we know? Yeah. Because you're making a rod for your own back ultimately, right? And then how do you feel like the Ministry for Tourism, I'd say specifically, could or should be engaging with people like yourselves? And I've met a number of amazing people just on this trip. But for me as an individual, it can't be that hard to access you all. If I'm living in the UK, if I can find you and you can find me and we can find one another, it can't be that hard to kind of locate you guys and maybe do like a town hall or a gathering and just kind of have a conversation with you guys, any other tourism focused influencers, etc., and policymakers. Yeah,
so just like you mentioned, town hall, I would say that the ministry has representatives across all the states in Nigeria. So it's easy for us to be able to walk up to the office or just say, oh, we're having a town hall meeting or a roundtable conversation with everybody in this space, and put it out on social media, on radio, on TV, or whatever media platform that will get to the right people, and then just allow them to feel, to come and have conversations, but also then beyond the conversations, then have a well-structured database so that then there is clear conversation. I want to be able to sit down and, because I'm someone in this space, have direct emails from the office of the minister every month or every week, knowing exactly what they're doing and how it affects me and how I should be able to use that information to continue to build better. So I think those conversations, breaking it down from just everything happening towards Abuja to everything happening in each of the states, and then coming together to have a big ecosystem that all of us can interact with. Because you'll be surprised that just for many of us who are in the tourism space within northern Nigeria, especially young people, we're so few, many of us know each other. Yeah. So right here, I can tell you who is in Bauchi and who is handling what in Bauchi. I can tell you who is in Jigawa and who is handling what. I can tell you who is in Taraba and who's. Do you understand? So we're not that many. So it's not going to be difficult to actually get everybody together and have constructive conversations that can build the sector.
Okay. So as I usually do at the end of my videos, is if I was to advise the Nigerian government on how to interact better with the people who are assisting you in your role and creating a better Nigeria for people to travel to or travel within interstate, because I feel like Nigerians need to start exploring Nigeria more than thinking about other people coming in, actually, because it's so beautiful and most people don't explore it. But what I would say is there's something very tangible that you could do here that you could start on Monday. Okay, a lot of the conversations that people often have when we're advising or we would like you to act are quite challenging. They're opaque and we assume that they're easy to do, but maybe there are difficulties that we don't know about. Yeah. But something you could start on Monday is a mailing list and add into it all of the tour guides, all of the people who are operative in the tourism space, and make sure that they're posted on, any new policies that are coming out, anything that's going to affect them, anything that's going to make their life easier, any funds that would be available would be a nice one.
The funds are important.
Yes, and any infrastructure changes that will be affecting them, so they can start to plan towards things over the next 12 to 18 months. So they have some insight as to what tourism should be looking like for Nigeria, and then also the steps that you're taking towards them. Sometimes we know that you're making plans, but what has been done so far and how is that going to move the needle to enable them to move the needle so that everyone can become one big ecosystem. Yeah. Moving Nigeria from becoming a country where people look at it as somewhere not to travel at all. If I tell you, when I travel to Nigeria, I travel by myself because my friends are too scared to come to Nigeria. Okay? Like, they won't come with me. You see, I travel by myself. Yeah. I'm here just by myself. Yeah. Like, they won't come. They're scared. They'll go to other places. They'll be like, oh, can't we just go here? They won't come here. Nigeria shouldn't be framed like that. Nigeria is a fantastic place to visit. And then the people who do want to visit just want to party. Because Nigeria just looks like, somewhere where you just come and get lit. And for me, it is somewhere that's very lit. Honestly, you'll be crying, you'll be complaining that Nigerians have you out all the time. But the fact of the matter is, we have to understand that some of these things dehumanize us. I'm not saying don't party, don't come here to party. Absolutely, come and party in Nigeria. You're going to have a ball. But beyond that, there are cultural aspects that are invaluable. There are experiences that you're probably never going to get anywhere else. The people, like funny, kind, mischievous, like there's so many different things.
It's the whole mix.
Food, right? I feel like food is often left out in the tourism conversation. Yeah. But food experience is always going to be crazy across Nigeria because of the sheer amount of dishes. How many dishes are there in Nigeria? Do you know?
I don't know. I can maybe take a guess and say we probably have well over 300 dishes, but I think that would be very small compared to what it really exists. So I do not know. In Plateau State here, I personally know well over 30. So, and that's just one state. So by the time you go through, and there are actually dishes right now in Nigeria that I would say are going extinct because they're only cooked and served in the villages. So when people get out of the villages and go to the big cities or begin to have a better life, somehow those old dishes and meals from the village are stigmatized and look like poverty, something associated with poverty. And you'd be surprised how much nutritional punch those things pack.
So I also have some advice here for Nigerians who are living in those places where your dishes may be going extinct. Someone needs to put together a recipe book, make some money. If you do, then let me know. I'll be happy to advertise it.
Awesome.
I think that those things are our cultural heritage and we need to preserve them. Thank you for having a chat with me. Sorry for turning the table onto you.
This was fun. I'm typically used to being the one asking the questions and not talking so much on my podcast, but this was a fun twist where I get to share. I think I'm probably sharing some of these thoughts for the first time. So yeah, exciting.
Thank you so much. Guys, please do continue to listen to the podcast beyond this episode. As if anyone even listened. I wonder if anyone cared about what I had to say. But it's a phenomenal podcast, an amazing human. I wouldn't be in Joss if I hadn't had a number of encounters. I had messaged, I had delayed, I had messaged, I had delayed. We had an encounter in the airport and it was like, I need to go. And then I delayed. Between yourself and UK, definitely like real encouragement. Again, even one of my friends was supposed to come who's Nigerian, lives in Nigeria, lives in Lagos. And you chickened out. Right? You chickened out. And was like, I'm not sure. As soon as he said he was coming, people started showing him articles, doing side faces. When I said I was going, everyone was just like, people were like, you can't go. You're like our beacon of light. This is good. We're going to lose you to the bush. These are the conversations that people were having with me. And I'm so glad that I went against that. I did speak earlier. I was like videoing and I was saying that sometimes you just need to understand what your mission is and why you're supposed to go places. And I was thinking very much about Joshua. Not everyone is Christian, but the story of Joshua is basically telling the story of why you should go ahead because your gift has been given to you. So what kept recurring to me was, did I not send you? Be courageous.
Yes, be bold and courageous.
Be bold and courageous. So, and now I feel like I made the right decision wholeheartedly. And I feel like very few people could be able to persuade me to not come here again. And I just want to say a huge thank you to you for being part of the encouragers.
Thank you.
And allowing me to see this amazing state. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Okay, guys, till next time, do take care and have a wonderful week.